Welcome to day 3 of the Classic Roundup. Here today we have Cody Law, all the way from Glen Innes.
Thanks for having me.
Pete Comiskey, Nebo. Welcome, men.
Thanks for having us.
So today we're just going to do a recap of the Classics finished, unless the final. So both rounds have been run. Winner of round 1, no one shifted Gav White off the leaderboard, 90 points. Then today we've had the second round and two big runs of 89 points, Jade French and Ben Hall. Any surprises there?
A lot of pace on that run of Jade's. Wasn't surprising, he ended up near the top there. Fair bit of pressure on him. That young horse handled it really well by the look of it, and he was rewarded. I don't think there's any surprises here. Ben's up there again.
Matapara man, he's been here and done it all before. So.
Pete, going back to the very first Classic that was run, you judged that year.
Absolutely.
The improvement and the quality of horsemanship gone from that to where it is now. How big a difference has there been?
Oh well, I think the whole Classic deal has done that. Like the age events, like the racing. We've sort of followed on from that, and then into the cutting. They become aged events, and now, of course, the camp drafting's taken that on. Cloncurry's obviously, got a lot of years behind it, with those 4-year-old events and making them worth a lot of money, and that's what's happened down here at the Nutrient, Classic. It's just we've, adapted to, I suppose, to come out and breed a good horse, So there's people within the industry now making a living out of breeding those good horses, and then, people that are training those good horses. And, there's guys like our late John Breckelman. I mean, he's sold over $1 million worth of horses through this, this activity since it's become. So it's, it's something that the young people, they're coming down, they're watching this sort of stuff, and they're looking how good those horses are trained, and they're going home and they're riding them, that was one thing I suppose that lacked in the industry of camp drafting. We always sort of had it in our mindset that 8 and 9-year-old horses are good horses, but we've got 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds doing exactly the same job today. So there's that and the better breeds coming in. Whilst I judge that first Classic here, we've got a better breed of horses as well. The better court horses are coming in. We're putting over there the good stock horse mares, the calmness, the better training abilities. People are doing schools. There's so much stuff that's going on today, and young people have become very involved in it. Camp drafting's it's just growing through strength and strength. So don't know where it's all going to end. I mean, with this drought we've just had, and a lot of shortages in cattle and everything like that, I'm not sure how we're going to get all the people that want to do camp drafting get it into it. So they're all coming here to buy a horse, and they all want to be part of the action.
This week alone, we've seen horses that have come out of this sale that were 2-year-olds. They were in our open competition. Ben McNaughton had a Classic winner, 89 points in the first round.
Yeah.
Hells are coming. She was sold through here, came back, won the Masters, second on the leaderboard by 1 point. She's got 2 90-point runs going into the final of the Open Camp Draft tomorrow. So the calibre of horse is training on to the elite level of the camp drafting.
Absolutely, from the bottom to they're buying them at 2-year-olds, bringing them through, putting the values on them. And I mean, not only do they want to be part of, they want to be part of this week. This week's all about, I suppose, getting the horse trained. It's all about being part of the Classic, being part of the sale and everything like that. But it's also about the mental health of the bush, if that makes sense. People are coming in here and they're telling me right now, we're going to go to Landmark that's our week's holiday. We're going to have 10 days, fortnight's holiday down here at Landmark, So yeah. We're going to book a motel and we're going to go down there, have some fun, put the kids into boarding school and get away from it. Most people had a little bit of relief, a bit of rain and that sort of stuff. So I think the rain only just come in time, but there's a lot of positive feel, if that makes sense.
So let's look at the leaderboard going into the final of the Classic. Jade French, 178 points, holds the lead. We go back to Jason Lindley on PV Grasshopper, which I believe, PJ, you know a little bit about that horse.
Well, yeah, he was trained by one of the greatest horsemen in I believe the world, at Todd Graham, and he's owned by the Acton family. I think Tory purchased him, and this year he's been very successful in his futurity year as he comes through, and Jason's obviously he's been part of the Acton family's activity for a long time now. He's a fantastic young horse trainer and great bloke, but he's he's also a huge asset to their show. So it won't be over until Jason has his run. Don't worry about that.
And Cody, on 175 also, Stevie Comiskey on Hatful of Jewels. Once again, doesn't surprise us to see Stevie in another final.
Be pretty fair each way bet, I'd reckon. Clearly an experienced competitor and consistent everywhere he goes. He'll be keeping them pretty honest, I'd say, Brett.
Yeah, so once again, very exciting on Wednesday night, the Classic final, up on the hill, free live streaming. That's nearly the night of the year to get on the hill.
Absolutely.
If you're not in the final, the second best spot is on the hill.
A few beers and away we go.
That's where I'll be.
So, round 2 of the Open Camp Draft also took place today with a couple of high-scoring points. We got high-scoring runs. Simon Dodwell, your ladder parked faith. Zane Haberman, he put 90 points with his 91 point in the first round. Troy, no surprise to see Troy and Helzer coming rattled through another 90 to be second on the leaderboard.
Yeah, he's backing up a fair bit with that mare, isn't he? She was just named Novice Horse of the Year, I believe, at the
ABCRA, 3 open drafts
a few weeks ago
this year, yeah.
Zane Haberman also likes these big shows. I mean, he's he's a 2-time winner at Paradise Lagoons. On that, I believe that mare's mother. She's a magnificent mare. He won at 2 big opens there. He's he's been to Kununurra. He's been to. There's not too many big events that he hasn't been finalist or run and won. He's a very strong competitor. Troy obviously is our our New South Wales champion and has been for a long time, and Gold Cup winner. So no, I think the Open Draft, it won't be over until either of those boys have a run. But there's a lot there, right there that and I think some good cattle coming forward. I think we're going to have some good finals.
Speaking to Zane today, while he was in the arena on his sale horse, Metallic Cat Colt, out of the same female line of those mares. How exciting. Once again, Pete, you were talking about the stock horse mares with the imported quarter horse lines. What a great horse it is to move forward in the camp draft. That's another horse that put a circle around. He could be a superstar.
And he could be a, what price do you put on them? I mean, we need 2 people that are going to bid on them, and we've come out of the worst drought and we've got the best genetics ever in the country. So I think we're going to see some beautiful horses go through, and they're up for competition, and there's a lot of people out with a lot of positivity. I mean, they're all wanting to come back and win one of these classics or win a Masters or, to be part of the action. So I think, there's going to be a lot of big things happen next week, I hope.
I think that's probably a reflection on where this sale's got to as well, that Zane's willing to offer a colt like that. Years ago, I'd say my experience was that those horses might have been sold privately, or they were never sold at all. Maybe embryo transfer a little bit, so there's maybe a couple extra of those horses available out of those elite mares, but the average Joe didn't get a chance at those horses, did they? They were either a backroom deal or they just didn't become available. I think that's full credit to what's being put here, the money and the system and the week, as you talk about.
Yeah.
Like, that's as much a part of it as anything. Once you're here, I think there'd be a lot of people that don't intend to buy a horse, but they get here and it's Wednesday night when the finals are on. Geez, I'd like to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Not only that, the excitement tonight, someone's going to drive out here with a Navajo horse trailer in the Pride's Easy Feed Navajo Horse Trailer Challenge. Now, how exciting with the money, the Pride sponsorship for the challenge and a horse trailer. Someone drives away with, we heard last night Felicity Burton bought El Solaray for $5,000, comes back, wins the challenge and a horse trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, it's just going to, that stadium is just going to be off the Richter.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Where are our leaders up to there?
Yeah, well, Josh Smith, no surprise, he's leading in on Geom Hard. 1:59.25. Emma O'Shea, Royal Time to Fly in 1:58.25. So I believe there's only around 10 points over the spread of the final. So that is extremely close. That's one turn a little tighter than someone else, and we could see the leaderboard be tipped on its head. Absolutely. Numerous times through the final.
Be very exciting.
Now this brings us to the NCCA rider title. We've got Cody Law, the president of the NCCA and defending champion. Pete, what does it mean to showcase camp drafting in our association with our 5 top riders from all associations over Australia, to bring them here to showcase the sport and our riders in front of this crowd?
Yeah, look, it's I think it's really put the event on the map the last 2 years. We had several years at the Warwick Gold Cup, and it was a great start. And it was just a little bit difficult to find a time slot there that fitted in, because it's such a big program, a lot of drafting. And we've come here last year, and to see those top riders, and they are entitled to bring their horse of choice, which I think is also pretty exciting. So you see the best of the best on the same round, same day, same cattle, over 3 rounds. So then, I penned it a couple of years ago that it's probably the first time we've got a true national champion, isn't it? And I mean, that's what we call it, and I believe that's what it is. And you've got people that are pretty keen to finish the year in that top 5 so they can come and ride in that event. They pushed pretty hard that last couple of months in their associations to make that. And of course, don't forget the leading lady riders from each association are in that as well. So, which really adds a great part to it, I think.
The sponsors for the champion rider make it happen. I know yourself and Natalie provide a service fee to your resident stallion in Knipes Conray.
Yep.
How important is Pride's easy feed to the whole show? What they have done for camp drafting and the riders is...
Yeah, well, I mean, they're our major sponsor and have been for many years. Their support's been just solid all the way through. To be honest, the lineup of sponsors mostly has been there from the start. It just makes it really. They do so much for the sport, don't they? Look, you see their signage all up at Warwick, and it's here everywhere. Everywhere you look, they just keep putting back.
Family-owned operation, and they, 3 boys and mum and dad, they're very passionate about the sport and passionate about giving, I suppose, putting back into it. I mean, they've just come through the worst drought and securing the grain and keeping up the orders right from the start, and I'd probably the longest term, Pride's, I suppose, professional rider, and they've been magnificent to me, right from the onset. And of course, they just keep on, looking after us. It's not only the horses and the activity, here at Tamworth, but they're into the dressage, they're into the pony club, they're anything that we mention camp draft wise or whatever. Pride's have been amazing in the in the whole horse industry. They've obviously worked very hard at what they've got, but they're very generous in what they do.
Pete, you won last year on Paris. Paris had a huge year last year.
Mm-hmm.
She won Willinga, won the Rider, many wins. What was your horse of choice this year?
I've ridden this year. Harry's he's an 18-year-old gelding owned by the Tag family up here. Ken and Christina Tag. He's been a really good horse to me. I just sort of had him coming to Tamworth a couple of times, and just little things have gone wrong. He stood on himself, or little bits and pieces, So I just sort of thought this year was his year. He's an 18-year-old gelding. He was beaten by half a point in the Warwick Gold Cup last year. He's he's got a very big heart, and he's a competition horse. Doesn't matter how the cattle come, he's got a lot of speed and he can cut them out and chase them around. So he was this year's obviously Paris is she's here actually on the ground. So her and her mum, it's quite funny. Roni's there too. She's 24-year-old and she's probably the only female I've ever had in my life that has never resisted anything that I've said. Every time I take her ride, she was the only female that I could ever get along with. So she's got a special part in my heart, and she's down here too. We've got her out at Ellis doing a bit of breeding, and to have those good horses around us. Obviously, Rowan Marks, those guys have come from Ewan, and Barry and Rowan have driven down to be part of the show, and they've had no association in it, but that's how special this event means to them. Yes. So those guys have driven over 2,000 k's to come down here and be part of it. So it's a huge event for the week we have here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's bringing everyone together, and win, lose or draw, everyone likes to be part of it, and the big runs coming. It's not only the individual. You want to get 3 good scores for yourself, but you want to get that score for your team as well. So you got to dig in a bit if you're part of the team. It's good.
Let's don't forget either that there's a fair incentive there too.
Absolutely.
Thanks to prides, there's in excess of $20,000 in cash.
And feed.
And
we've had feed
several
delivered.
ton of feed.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's it's a fair incentive. It's not just the title, is it? It's not just that mantle of national champion rider. It's pretty worthwhile.
So Cody Benhall won the round.
Correct.
Classy dove.
Yeah, he muscled up today. There were some pretty solid runs. Took a lot of horse work today. And look, we were talking about it a little while ago. One of the competitors himself and he and Rowan Marks sort of muscled up there and put some pretty handy runs on some tough cattle, that were just pushing the horses a bit. But, they all clocked the same, didn't they? So, that's exactly what we were saying before. It's a test under the same conditions.
But we've got the 5 best riders out of their respected associations.
Plus the girls.
Yep.
Plus the girls. And that's what we want to see.
Yep.
We're playing A grade. Want to see the A grade competitors.
Yeah, there'll be more to come.
2 good rounds to come, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Cody, this week we've also seen the introduction of the NCCA Youth Forum. Could you elaborate a little bit on what that is for the sport and how the NCCA is taking that forward for the betterment of camp drafting?
Yeah, so this is something I'm pretty excited about, and the rest of the delegates on the National Camp Draft Council. We've been sort of throwing the idea around for a couple of years, and it's been something that's had unanimous support from all the delegates right from when we first brought it up. But there's plenty of these big competitions that are out there for youth and for older competitors to win and compete at. But what we're aiming to do here is to get interested young people in our industry that are showing the qualities that look like they want to put back and contribute and be a part of potentially running some of these events, being in positions like Mark Barton, or the president of one of the associations, or just at your local camp draft committee. Putting on a show, being there, helping out, making sure the event runs, being a cattle donor, all these sorts of things. So what we've done, we're starting tomorrow morning. We're going to take them through a bit of the history of the NCCA and where it's come from and what it's about, and then talk about some leadership, what it means to be a leader and what it takes to run organisations and giving back to community, and because after all, that's what most of our camp drafts are about, aren't they? They're one of the biggest fundraisers for local communities, generally speaking, especially in times of drought. People go way and beyond, far and beyond to make sure something goes ahead. It might keep the little local school open or something. So that's where we're aiming it, and we've had a terrific response. We've got about five youth from each association starting tomorrow, and then on Wednesday they'll take a quick tour out to Prides and have a look through a major sponsor plant and have a bit of a talk there about nutrition, etc.
It also started today with the Judges Forum as well.
It did.
So you've been quite busy on the grounds as well, not just here for competition wise. You're here to try and structure the camp draft game to make it more streamlined, everyone working together, so we're all on the same platform, all thinking the same. You know, great way to, you know, work on the judging, and you know, it's something that's always, you know, heavily talked about, and it's great that you're doing something to streamline that.
Yeah, well, it's a work in progress. We've just had a couple of hours with a few people that are here that are happy to give their time, and we've got what we think's a pretty good idea to take back to the National Camp Draft Council AGM in June, and you know, we're probably aiming to have where our focus will be you know, delivering a national judging framework, so that we're all some years now we've been on the same set of rules, obviously, but what we're aiming to do is make sure that that's delivered the same, and that, you know, you could go to a clinic in Hewett in North Queensland with ACA, or you could go to one in Tasmania or south of Perth, and you get the same thing delivered by different people, but in the same interpretation of the rules, and hopefully those judges are going to come through our system with a better understanding, and just, you know, give a more even approach to it, because as we've said earlier, it's you know, the competition level's getting, you know, right up there, and we need to take it a bit more seriously, I think.
Not only that, the competition in having younger people, I don't care. You know, I always put driving in the state of judges as far as an hour goes down the road. You know, so you do 5 hours of that, you'll go pretty good. But after that, you know, so a lot of those big events now, like this here at Tamworth, we've had, you know, split the judging in half and all that sort of stuff. You know, so making it so that people can become more. You know, I know the last draft that I judged at Warwick, Canning Downs, I did 680 in one day. Start 5 o'clock in the morning, finish 10 o'clock at night. There's no way that in that time you can't make mistakes, you know. So that's how much the industry, you know, these people are getting those young people involved and getting them, so younger minds got to be able to, you know, make better decisions, and but not only that, working towards time frames, you know, so that they do 250, they have their 5-6 hours, and you know, breaking those you know, committees have been a lot more proactive about that as well. So, you know, I think judging and bringing everyone to the same table is it's very important. And I mean, that's what this week here at Tamworth's all about. You know, you sort of, everyone can come and everyone's here, so we can, you know, we're very lucky to be able to get these young people events and our judging events, and then of course our you know, our horse sale and everything to go with it.
Let's change pace a little bit and talk about one of the most famous things to ever happen to the Nutrient Classic, the introduction of the water buffalo.
Introduction of the water buffalo. This is going to be a funny conversation. Obviously, Mark Bart and myself were down at a women in camp drafting, and I said to him about, you know, we're not gonna have any cattle. It's the worst drought in the country, and so I said, I've got a few buffaloes at home. You know, if you want to run a few horses on them, save a few cattle, we can do that. And anyway, with Mark's sharp wit, he said, what about if I go to the Northern Territory and buy a big heap of these things? Will you look after them? So that's how it all ended up. They come down in November from the Northern Territory. Mark and his crew got up there and secured the animals, and we got some freight down to Nebo, and we've obviously had them on some pride's feed and some round bales there, and I've obviously a very basic operation, like a weaning, I suppose. We give them some minerals and some vitamin A, D and E, and just the basic things. Obviously not being a nutritionist or you know, someone that's understand the animals, but we have had them for 3 or 4 years at home, and I've chased them every day. I've got 3 beautiful big buffaloes that gallop around, and they just love it. You know, they love getting chased as much as we love it, chasing them. And I have, you know, 15 to 20 horses all the time, so I can't take the Buffalo Bill thing, I'm sorry. I think it's all Mark Barton. I was just a babysitter. But anyway, what's happened in the short last, we're into day 8 here at Tamworth. They come down Monday from Nebo to Room, and then we cleared them there, and they've been down here. They have full access to round bales. We've got their own. You couldn't get any more natural habitat than what they want down here. They go up and down the roads and round, and they've obviously been through our backyard systems here, and Mark's team have, you know, they take a real pride in what they do here, obviously, and we're, you know, not having everyone experienced to handling the animals. It's all going to be a new learning curve, and I think there's 600 of us that are selling a horse that are going to learn a lot about a buffalo in the next, you know, six days to come, you know, but I think moving forward, if this can work somewhere near where we need to be, it's going to save a lot of stock. I mean, I'm not sure of the numbers and that sort of stuff, but we've got 68 of those little blokes, and they're all, every day they go down to the back there and they're jumping and skipping, and they're as happy to be at Tamworth as I am. So I think, it should be a good week.
With yourself and the nutrient team headed up by Mark, everyone should be congratulated with the welfare and how these animals have been treated whilst they've been here at ALEC. The way they've handled they've got no stress, they're so content. You see them in a mob there in the arena, the way the stockmen are handling them.
Absolutely.
They're happy little
Feed,
animals.
water, they've got everything that they need.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's a credit to Mark and his team here at ALEC and what we've done, what these guys have done, and moving forward, obviously we're going to look into a lot more of things, how we're going to, moving forward to next year already. He's got a lot of big plans, and these animals are going to go all over Australia, and we're thinking that they're going to be horse trained, but there's a hell of a lot of people that are already seeing Mark about wanting them as pets. We wanted to breed a couple of these things. They're excited, they're cute, they're this and they're that, and it doesn't matter what you want to do with them. They're going to be for sale by the end of the week.
They are.
And they're obviously going to find new homes all through all the eastern states. Right up and down. I know there's some you take to go back into central Queensland, and we look forward to moving forward. I suppose there's a change in the industry, and what's going to happen next at ALEC in 2021, we're not sure of, but I'm sure the Buffaloes are going to play a big part of that.
You wouldn't believe I seen on one of the classic previews on Facebook with the sale horse video. They were chasing an alpaca.
Really?
So that could be your next one, Pete.
It's a true story.
I might have to go to South America to get a few of those. So.
Have you handpicked the two?
Absolutely.
That are going to go to the Classic Ladies Foundation to be sold 100% for charity.
Absolutely. And we've also got another little dairy there too for another special occasion or two. I've got to talk my good friend Ben Hall into getting his saddle ready too. We might even ride one as we go.
We've got the chutes down now. I think it can be arranged. So let's look forward to tomorrow with our events being held. We've got the first of the pre-work horses for sale day 1 and 2.
This year, though, I think there's the biggest lineup of quality horses that we're going to ever see open age here. Obviously, the Masters event is very popular. People that are wanting to go camp drafting, obviously with time poor, very busy, schedules and everything like that. They want to come and buy horses fully trained and take him along those camp drafts. And I mean, that's what this first day is all about, buying those trained horses that are here. And I believe that we're going to see some six figures there. I think that there's horses that have had great amounts of training. They've been taking the camp draft and put the shoes on and take them next week, and that's what people come here to buy. So yeah. As much as wanting to win the classic and everything like that, there's a lot of work in a young horse. Where these horses tomorrow that are going to come up, they're ready to put on the truck and they're ready to go. So I think over the career of the show, I don't think there's ever been a better lineup of older horses, open-aged horses. People, like I said before, are training these horses to come to this event to make some money. This is part of what they do. Yeah. So.
We've got 4 in the lineup tonight in the final, don't we?
Yes, we do. We've 4 in the challenge final tonight that will be sold. That have talking today to Des Burns. He's selling those to make way for some younger horses. So here you've got horses that are trained, won challenges, one stuff along the way.
Yep.
Now they're ready to sell them, to make way to buy younger ones. So then we've got round 2 of the NCCA draft.
Tomorrow.
Yep. Round 1 of the Stallion Shootout, which she gloves off again there with the Stallion Shootout. It's a very, very strong event here at the Classic. We've got the Gelding Dash for Cash, the Young Guns final. Now a big round of applause to Nutrien for what they've done there. They've gone and found extra cattle in these trying times to take more competitors into the final. It was 88 and up, but Mark Barton and his team have found cattle to take it back to 87 and up, to allow more young guns the experience of a final with this atmosphere. How outstanding.
Yep. It's a huge effort by the whole team here. Mark and his crew here is just amazing. How they pulled together, coming out of the worst drought ever in history, to pull this whole 10 days together. It's amazing.
And then we see the Open final. Big night of competition.
Yeah.
Cody, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Pete, thanks very
thank
much
you,
for
Darcy.
coming up, and
Thank you very much for having us.
we'll be back tomorrow with day 4 of the Classic Roundup.